Today's lesson is continuing the journey through the world of Avatar. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And today we're going to continue talking about the movie Avatar. And the reason we're talking about this is because the latest edition in this series of movies is going to come out pretty soon, if it has not come out already. And the new movie is called Avatar: The Way of Water. So maybe some of you have already seen it or you know that it's coming out soon.
Yes, and before, in the previous lesson, we took a trip down memory lane and remembered the time when we saw Avatar for the first time in 2009 and the special effects that it had and also the meaning that it conveyed to audiences because the movie came out at a time when there was a war between the US and Iraq and a lot of themes regarding imperialism and also corporate greed were evoked by that movie.
Indeed, and of course the special effects were pretty fantastic and lots of people were talking about them, and we're going to be talking about special effects in our lesson today, especially because those special effects are so special because Cameron had to wait for the technology to catch up with his ideas before he could actually make his films. And evidently, the latest technology has caught up with his ideas. So let's find out some more about this. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson, and then we'll come back to discuss it.
Following the global success of Avatar, Cameron announced a series of sequels to the film in 2010, the first of which was intended for release in 2014. However, he found himself faced with the same problem of needing to wait for visual effects to catch up to his ideas. He planned for the second movie to focus on the oceans of Pandora, with scenes requiring underwater motion capture, a technological feat never successfully accomplished before.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到单字 series， 这个字是名词，指的是一系列、一连串或是接连。例如 This haunted house features a series of spooky rooms that are sure to scare even the most courageous individuals. 这间鬼屋有连续好几间的恐怖房间，即使是最大胆的人也一定会被吓到。或者 This TV series is about a police officer trying to find a missing girl. 这系列的电视剧讲述了一名警察试图寻找失踪女孩的故事。接下来我们看到动词 intend， 它的意思是准备、预留做某种用途，或是计划、打算。举例来说 The swimming pool was intended for young children, so it was built to be very shallow. 这个游泳池是为了年幼的孩子准备的，所以建得很浅。又或者说 The game was originally intended to be a gift for Brian's nephew.But he already had one of his own. 这个游戏本来是要当做 Brian 侄子的礼物，但他自己已经有一个了。接着我们看到单字 visual， 这个字是形容词，指的是视觉的或是视力的。例如 You can see many kinds of visual art at the museum. 你可以在博物馆里看到多种视觉艺术。或是 The director is known for the visual style of his stage productions.这名导演最出名的就是他舞台剧的视觉风格。另外补充这个字的动词 visualize， V-I-S-U-A-L-I-Z-E visualize， 它意思是想象或是把点点点视觉化。举例来说 Jenny visualizes her goals to help herself achieve them. Jenny 想象自己的目标有助于达成它们。又或者说 The expert chess player visualized his opponent's moves in advance.那位高段的西洋棋手预先想到了对手的棋步。再来我们看到形容词 technological， 指的是技术的、科技的或是工艺的。例如 Thanks to recent technological developments, machines are becoming more and more like humans. 由于最近的科技发展，机器变得越来越像人类。另外补充这个字的名词 technology， T-E-C-H-N-O-L-O-G-Y technology， 意思是科技或是技术。像是 I believe that technology can make our lives more comfortable, but it can also be very dangerous. 我相信科技可以让我们的生活更舒适，但它也可能很危险。又或者是 The car company is hoping that the new technology will make driving safer. 那家汽车公司希望这项新的科技会让开车更安全。
So when Avatar came out in 2009, it was a huge success. And following the global success of Avatar, Cameron announced a series of sequels to the film in 2010, the first of which was intended for release in 2014. So after the first movie Avatar came out in 2009, just a year later, the director, Cameron, announced a series of sequels. So a sequel is a movie in this case, or it could also refer to a book, a play that continues the story of an earlier one. So the earlier one, in this case, would be Avatar, and Cameron announced that he would come out with another movie that would be the continuation of Avatar. And not just one movie, because he announced a series of sequels. A series is a set of things, a set of movies, a set of books that continue and follow from the first in that sequence.
Yep, there's more than just one. You may remember the movie Toy Story. Well, Toy Story 2 was a sequel of the first Toy Story movie, and now there are 4 Toy Story movies out, so they're all part of a series of sequels to the first Toy Story movie, and the same is true of Avatar here. He had announced a series of sequels to the film way back in 2010, and the first of which was intended for release in 2014. Now notice in this sentence we have a subject here, a series of sequels, and then the sentence continues, the first of which. So again, he announced a series of sequels to the film in 2010, and the first of those films was intended for release in 2014. We could have written this in 2 sentences. He announced a series of sequels to the film in 2010, and then a new sentence we could say the first sequel was intended for release in 2014. But we're continuing the sentence together, so we use this pattern, the first of which. You can use this for the first of whom or the first of what, etc., etc.
Right, and the verb here, intended, just means meant for or meant to. So I could also say, don't eat this food. It's intended for animal consumption. It's not intended for humans to eat.
Right, if you eat it, you might get sick. But in any case here, he intended to have the first movie released way back in 2014. However, he found himself faced with the same problem of needing to wait for visual effects to catch up to his ideas. So he had an idea for a sequel to be released in 2014, but he had a problem. The technology had not caught up with his ideas. So here we've got the phrase to catch up. That just means you get to the level of something or someone that is ahead of you. If you're in a race, for example, maybe the 800 meters, for example, and you start off slow like Dave Waddle did at the Olympics in 1972, he had to catch up with all the other runners so that he could win the race. And that is actually what happened there. He caught up with all the other runners. In this case, the technology had not caught up to his ideas. They just simply couldn't put his ideas into film.
Yes, and the special effects that Cameron was aiming for were visual effects. So visual here refers to the sense of sight, of your ability to see something. So it's related to things that you can see, as opposed to your audio, tactile, or olfactory senses. Your visual sense is what allows you to see. And here he was waiting for technology to enable him to create visual effects that were much more impressive than what the technology at the time was able to produce.
Evidently, the visual effects have caught up to his ideas now, and his new movie is ready for release, and he planned for the second movie to focus on the oceans of Pandora, with scenes requiring underwater motion capture, a technological feat never successfully accomplished before. So this movie, the sequel, the first sequel, is going to take place underwater in the oceans of Pandora. And if you're underwater, you are below the surface of the water, like where whales and sharks are and jellyfish and stuff like that. And of course, that requires special techniques. Motion capture, which means you capture the motion of something in order to produce a special effect.
Right. Motion capture is a technique of digitally recording patterns of movement of a person, or when you're making a movie, you're trying to digitally record the actor's movements so that you can create a digital character, an animated character later on for the film. That's the usual use of motion capture. It's a technological feat never successfully accomplished before. So a feat is something that's really impressive, or it can be dangerous sometimes that someone does. So I can also talk about feats of strength, feats of skill. If you're planning on climbing a mountain like Mount Everest, that would be a very dangerous feat. Here, we're talking about a technological feat, which is something related to technology that is very difficult to do, very difficult to accomplish.
Accomplish means to meet the challenge of a special kind of feat, and you are successful in doing that thing. You're successful in doing something that is quite difficult. That's the verb to accomplish, and the noun form is accomplishment. So it might be one of your great accomplishments to graduate from Cambridge University or something like that. You never thought you could do it yourself before, and now you've done it. You have accomplished that. You have done that difficult thing. So now it's time for us to move on to the second part of our lesson. Let's listen first.
Through the efforts of Cameron and his team, audiences will soon be able to immerse themselves in the world of Pandora again. Avatar, The Way of Water, follows the once human Jake Sully after he has taken the side of the Na'vi and permanently become one of them, building a family and a life in their alien world. When familiar threats surface again, he must fight alongside his loved ones for the survival of their planet.
最后第二部分我们看到副词 permanently 指的是永久的或是长期不变的。举例来说 Everyone in town was shocked to hear that the factory will close its doors permanently. 城里每个人听到那间工厂要永久歇业时都很震惊。又或者说Heavy long-term drinking can permanently affect your memory. 长期大量饮酒会对记忆产生永久性的影响。
Through the efforts of Cameron and his team, audiences will soon be able to immerse themselves in the world of Pandora again. So in this new movie, as a result of all of Cameron and his team's efforts and through the technological developments related to movie making, audiences will be able to immerse themselves in Pandora once again. So to immerse usually means to put something into water or into a liquid. But you can also use this word figuratively to mean that you are spending your time completely absorbed or focused on something. You can be immersed in a really good book or in a really wonderful song. So being immersed in something means that that something has your full attention.
Right. You kind of forget the fact that you're sitting in a movie theater and you actually believe that you're in the world of Pandora, that you're actually there observing everything in person. So indeed, because of these special effects, you will be able to surround yourself with all the things in Pandora. You'll be able to immerse yourself in the world of Pandora again. And Avatar, The Way of Water follows the once human Jake Sully after he has taken the side of the Na'vi and permanently become one of them. So remember, the main character in Avatar was Jake Sully. I think he was handicapped or something. and he later thought that what the American military was doing was bad, and he started to sympathize with the Na'vi, and eventually he became one of them. And now he has taken the side of the Na'vi. And of course, if you take somebody's side, if you take someone's side, that means you support them and then you don't support somebody else. So maybe there's a conflict in the office between John and Lisa. And you think John is right, so you take John's side and you don't favor Lisa's side. But later on, you learn that, hey, maybe Lisa's actually right.
Yeah, so Jake Sully took the side of the Na'vi and permanently became one of them. So he didn't become one of them just for a short period of time. He became one of the Na'vi permanently, which means forever or for a very long time in the future.
Something's permanent when it lasts forever, and we're adding ly to this word to make it an adverb. He has permanently become one of the Na'vi. He is building a family life and a life in their alien world. So he has given up his previous life, and now he is a member of the Na'vi, and he's building a family. He has a wife and kids and stuff like that. And he has a role in their society. He is no longer a human. So at the beginning of this sentence, it says he was the once human Jake Sully. In other words, he used to be a human being. Now he is one of the Na'vi.
Yes, and when familiar threats surface again, he must fight alongside his loved ones for the survival of their planet. So in this movie, what will happen, or what we think might happen, is that there will be a new source of danger. Therefore, Jack Sully will have to fight in order to protect his family, in order to protect his world, and thus we have a movie about a hero.
Exactly. So it's another one of those movies of good versus evil with lots of special effects thrown in to boot. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's wrap things up now with the third and final part.
Jake's story and that of the Na'vi will continue across 3 more sequels, with filming for Avatar 3 already completed. If the first film in the series is anything to go by, audiences have a thrilling cinematic feast to look forward to in the coming years.
So in conclusion, Jake's story, or we're talking about Jake Sully, his story and that of the Na'vi will continue across 3 more sequels, with filming for Avatar 3 already completed. So as we had mentioned in the past, Cameron was thinking about a series of sequels, and more precisely, he was thinking about 2 more sequels to follow the first Avatar. And the third one is already completed, at least the filming of it has been completed. They still need to do post-production. So audiences will be very excited, if you're an Avatar fan, to see the 2 sequels of the original movie.
Exactly. So he's already finished filming Avatar 3. It's already completed, and they'll wait for a while before they release it again. And if the first film in the series is anything to go by, audiences have a thrilling cinematic feast to look forward to in the coming years. So here we've got the phrase, is anything to go by, usually with if the first film in the series is anything to go by. In other words, if we can use some references from the first movie, or if we can learn a lesson from the first movie, therefore we can make some other kinds of conclusions. So we can tell from the first movie that it had lots of special effects. So if we use that knowledge to guess about the future, if that is anything to go by, then we can be sure of being thrilled when we see these following films. If something's thrilling, it's really exciting, and it really makes you excited to see it, especially in the movie theater. Something thrilling to me is riding on a roller coaster because, it's quite fun. It moves really fast, and of course, whenever you ride a roller coaster, you do a lot of screaming, at least most of the girls do.
And as another example of the usage of if something is anything to go by, I could say, if this dinner prepared by Joan is anything to go by, then Joan is a wonderful cook.
Indeed, Joan does cook some fabulous dishes here. So if you did like the first Avatar movie, you can expect the next Avatar movie to be very thrilling. It will be a thrilling cinematic feast. We're not actually eating these movies, but you know what we mean here. It's just an enjoyment, something to enjoy, a feast for the eyes, for example. And we can look forward to that in the coming years. In other words, we already know there's going to be an Avatar 3 coming out soon, or eventually. So indeed, we've got that to look forward to. And there'll probably be more films after that. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始写到 Following the global success of Avatar, Cameron announced a series of sequels to the film in 2010, the first of which was intended for release in 2014. 继《阿凡达》在全球大获成功后，卡麦隆在2010年宣布了该片的一系列续集，其中第一部原定于2014年上映。那句子里面的 following 是当介系词去表达在点点点之后，后面要接名词，所以我们说 following the global success 就是指说在全球大获成功之后。好，那接着我们看到课文句子里面有用到关系代名词 which， 它指的就是前面所提到的 a series of sequels， 一系列续集。那 the first of which 则表示其中的第一部怎么样怎么样。像这样的用法呢，就是用带有修饰语的关系代名词去引导关系子句对先行词做补充说明。那我们来学习相关用法。好，首先我们这边就先以关系代名词 which 来做说明。which 当关系代名词呢，它可以用来代指前方的事物，也就是先行词。那 which 的前面呢，可以加上量词啊、数字、百分比、最高级等等，然后加上 of 去表达所占的比例。像 two of which 点点点，就是先行词其中两个怎么样怎么样。some of which先行词其中一些怎么样怎么样 ，the best of which 先行词其中最好的怎么样怎么样，或是 1/3 of which 先行词其中1/3怎么样怎么样等等。举例来说 ，He showed us a jar filled with marbles.Some of which are extremely rare. 他向我们展示一个充满弹珠的罐子，其中有一些非常罕见。那特别注意这个用法呢，我们现在是要对前面的先行词做补充说明，它是非限定用法，所以你记得就要用逗号把这个补充说明的部分跟主要子句隔开咯。好，那接着如果我们的关系代名词指称的先行词是人，那 which 就要改成 whom， 也就是说我们要用量词、数字、百分比、最高级等等加上 of whom 去引导关系子句。举例来说 They have 3 daughters, the youngest of whom will be entering college next year.他们有3个女儿，其中年纪最小的明年要上大学了。我们这边用 the youngest of whom 去表达那3个女儿当中年纪最小的。好，那么下一个我们是要讲说这个用法呢也适用于所有个关系代名词 whose。那么记得 whose 后面是要接名词。举例来说 The preschool has 60 children, 1/3 of whose parents don't speak English. 那所幼儿园有60个学生，其中1/3孩子的父母不会说英文。所以我们这边用这个 1/3 of whose parents 来指说前面提到那60个孩子，他们1/3当中的这个父母怎么样怎么样。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Series. A series of unexpected problems caused the event to be postponed. Intend. This medicine is not intended for use with alcohol. Visual. The visual elements of the concert added to the beauty of the music. Technological. Technological advances have made today's computers much more powerful than those of 20 years ago. Accomplish. After months of training, Nathan accomplished his goal of running a marathon. Permanently. Because of their argument, Patrick and Edward's friendship was permanently damaged. Thrilling. The book's thrilling conclusion left Vera's heart beating fast.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, are you interested in seeing the new Avatar movie? Why or why not?
I'm interested in seeing the new Avatar movie because I really loved the first one and I can't wait to see what the new visual effects will be.
Well, I don't have any interest in seeing the new Avatar movie, at least as a first-run movie. I like to save my money and wait for the film to appear in second-run movie theaters. I don't really feel the need to see the movie when it first comes out. I'm willing to wait. I am patient. Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.